Just so y'all know that I am not just a negative Nintendo creator. I do want to speak more about the new Nintendo Switch 2 games that we'll be getting later this year. I wanted to first go by order on what we saw from the Nintendo Treehouse Live that we had, at least the first day. I'm not going to focus on third party stuff. Not entirely too excited about. We got Demon X Machina. We got Cyberpunk, we got Elden Ring, all that sort of stuff, all good stuff. But these are games that have already been out. I want to focus on new stuff, new updates, new enhancements to first party games. I want to start first with Mario Kart World. One of the first parts that I really want to focus on when it comes to Mario Kart World is the variety of characters that we now have. We just, we have the classic Mario characters. But we also had finally the ability to choose some meanies, some villains, specifically in the last game, if I'm not mistaken. But this one even seems like they're even adding like some of the more, more obscure characters. Like for example, if I'm not mistaken, you could play like as the blue meanies in Mario Sunshine, the ones that shoot you up in the air. I can't remember the name of them. But you get to play as them. You can play as the skeleton fish, the bone fish in a lot of Mario games, and you can even play as cow. I thought they were called Moo cows, but I guess they're just cows, and I find that very, very exciting. A lot of the things in Mario Kart World, more of the exciting ones, is the new vehicles. I feel that a lot of the vehicles kind of like, it's really hard to try and compare Mario Kart World and like with Mario Kart 8 and try and be critical, because Mario Kart 8 technically came out 11 years ago. Like we've been playing the same Mario Kart game for over a decade, and that is insane. Regardless, like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe still looks amazing, still plays great, but it's still I don't think that it's fair to compare it to Mario Kart World because we've had a decade plus of changes since then. Essentially, this game's been in the works for such a long time that it's a completely different game. It's a completely different engine. I don't want to say engine. It's a completely different game. Point blank. It's just exciting to see. Some of the more exciting stuff that I'm really excited to see how they actually play is, for example, the new Grand Prix. That now that a lot of the courses now are tied to each other. I'm really excited to see how seamless that transition is from course to course. We saw it a little bit here in the Nintendo Treehouse Live, which I'm showing right now. But it kind of seems that you just basically do the laps in each course. And once you finish each lap, you essentially just go to the next part of the actual Grand Prix. It's not as seamless as I was expecting it, but it's still a little bit better than what we've been used to. You would finish a course and you would have to wait in the lobby with the players and kind of just wait around till things actually moved, or actually the next race actually started. But it seems here that once you finish the race, if I'm not entirely mistaken, it takes you to the next course automatically. Yeah. So it's not as seamless as as I thought it would be, but again, it is what it is. At least it makes the races feel a little bit more connected. A little bit, it actually makes it feel like a pre. It makes it feel like, oh, this is nonstop, like you see in like F1 races and NASCAR races, and that's very, very exciting. I'm not gonna lie. I really do like that. Furthermore, some of the other kind of modes that I've seen here from the Nintendo Treehouse were the knockout mode. Knockout mode is one thing that I'm very, very excited for. That seems like the best way to probably play online. I think this is going to be amazing for streamers and for just content creators to play with their community, because it allows almost everyone to join. You can play up to 23 other people, and knockout mode makes it a little bit more competitive. It makes it fast paced, and it actually makes it like a little nerve wracking. I'm not gonna lie, like the thought of seeing the finish line and knowing that if you don't get there at least in 16th place, you're gonna, you know, be eliminated. It's just, it's very exciting. It adds an element of excitement to Mario Kart. I mean, Mario Kart's already a very, very exciting video game to play. Yeah, Knockout Tour. Yeah, I think this is gonna be the best way for you to play with friends. It keeps things exciting. It keeps things going. So it'll be very interesting to see how well it's implemented, because I can't imagine, you know, how people with like bad connections is gonna work. I really struggle to think about ways where this might fall short, at least to like what people were expecting from a Knockout Tour, so to speak. All in all, I'm very excited for Mario Kart World. The price increase is a little bit steep, you know, $10 more than, you know, the $70, which I guess is industry now across the industry now. It's a standard. We see it with PlayStation 5 games. I've heard other creators, specifically Rogers Bay, say that he doesn't think that $80 is justifiable for the Mario Kart World game. He's played it. He's actually had hands-on on this game. So it's kind of it makes me speculate that Nintendo is either going to try and justify this price increase by being a Nintendo Switch 2 game, you know, better graphics, better performance, whatnot. But hopefully that means that the extra content that will inevitably get, you know, for Mario Kart almost always gets DLC, is already included in that price increase. Those, you know, at $10+ on the base game. I hope that that's the case. That to me is the best case scenario, because I'm gonna be honest, I'm a huge Nintendo fan, but I would never pay $80 for a Mario Kart game. I agree, it's not worth $80. Regardless of inflation, regardless of tariffs and all that good stuff. I shouldn't say good stuff, that's terrible stuff. I still think that $80 is a little bit steep. So it'll be interesting to see how Nintendo justifies that price increase. Next up, I want to talk about what to me is probably going to be game of the year this year. And that is going to be Donkey Kong Bonanza. Oh my God, bro. Out of all the games that were announced for the Nintendo Switch 2, this is the one that I'm most excited for. It's been 20 something years that we haven't had a 3D Donkey Kong game. I was a huge fan of Donkey Kong 64. Like it means a lot to me, that game. It's just incredible. It has so much character, so much charisma. It's a very creative game. It's not just a 3D platformer, and it's great. Like, for as janky as it is, as old as it is, like, it's still one of the better 3D platforms in my opinion. And it's just exciting to see that Nintendo is finally giving Donkey Kong some shine back. We've had, you know, years and years of Donkey Kong, you know, 2D Donkey Kong platforming, 2D Donkey Kong Country games, which are great. Like Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, in my opinion, is one of the best 2D platformers to ever exist. But it's just exciting to see that Nintendo is still not afraid to change things up, to give characters, other characters their shine, other than Mario and Zelda and Link. It's just exciting to see that Nintendo still hasn't lost that creativity and that weirdness in a sense. So I'm really excited for this game. One of the things that I'm really impressed about this game specifically is that the world is malleable. It's destructible. You can punch through walls, you can punch through the ground, you can create your own ways to traverse the level. And just seeing how, you know, I think it's the perfect mixture of open world, so to speak. I don't think it's necessarily open world. I mean, I haven't seen much of it, but the levels do seem to like open up different ways for you to get to your objectives, to collect things, so on and so forth. It's not as linear as you know, a 2D platformer game might be. This seems like it's a combination of open world exploration and as well, you know, the stuff that we've seen with like Mario Odyssey, you know, more so you get put into this world and you go and find collectibles, find the star pieces, find the moonshines, whatever it may be. This game specifically is going to be the bananas, I guess. And just giving that player that freedom to explore and just really just tap into the world and not be afraid of destroying things and making your way through the levels. It's just going to be very exciting. I think this is going to really scratch a lot of people's exploration itch that we've kind of been missing for a little while. So I'm really excited about how this game is going to play out, because so far I've tried to not look as much into this game because I really want to play it as blindly as possible. But it seems like it's the ability to discover the world in our own terms, in my opinion. Another thing is just seeing like how the world is laid out for you. Like there's no pathway for you to take. Like everything about this gives me Minecraft vibes. Like you don't have to necessarily follow the path that's been built for you. You can punch into a wall and then you can look at the map and see where you've been and what you kind of not explored yet. Like this specific thing, the being able to see the map in a sort of like 3D isometric angle just it's gonna make exploration a lot better and a lot nicer, in my opinion. It's just gonna be very fun to try and see like, yo, I haven't really destroyed this mountain. I really haven't explored this mountain. Let me see if I can cut through it. Let me see if I can do this, do that. It's gonna be very interesting to see how Nintendo designed this game so the player can still, one, explore freely, but at the same time still complete the objectives. I always feel that it's good to give people freedom, but sometimes when you give a lot of people too much freedom, like in my opinion, they feel like the more choices that you give someone, regardless of what it is, it can be a game, it can be a restaurant. Like if you give people a lot of options, they tend to feel overwhelmed, and 5 times out of 10 they'll think that this experience is a negative experience. So in my opinion, I feel that giving the player that ability to explore on their own is going to be very good, but I'm more curious to see how they balanced that liberty as well as like, yo, this is still a game, there's still an objective that you got to complete. So I'm really excited to see that. Obviously Donkey Kong has some new abilities with the rock, the sidekick, and whatnot. There's a lot of new things that we haven't seen in other Donkey Kong games, definitely not on Donkey Kong 64. So it'll just be fun. I'm excited to see if Diddy Kong is in this game, Dixie Kong is in this game. I think there's been talks that they've seen Cranky Kong in some of the gameplay. But I feel that one of the biggest things about Donkey Kong 64 was the ability to play as other characters. I still am very, I'm staying relatively, realistic and just expecting only to be able to play as Donkey Kong. But if they drop it on us that you can discover and you can play this game with different characters, it's gonna be like a game changer for me, because I love playing as Dixie Kong, I love playing as Diddy Kong, I love playing as Lanky Kong. Like all those characters from DK64 making a return. Hopeful, again, I'm not speculating that that's the case, but if that's gonna be a thing, I'm just gonna be very excited. So we'll see. But yeah, the interaction with the player, here's Cranky Kong, as we said. The interaction with the player, with the world, is just gonna open so many doorways for exploration, and this is why I think this game is gonna be a huge contender for Game of the Year. It's gonna be a Mario Odyssey type of game, and I feel it's gonna fill that gap that we've been filling since 2017, from 3D platformer games from Nintendo. We haven't had that many, so it'll be fun, it'll be amazing. I think this is going to be Game of the Year contender for sure. Now, in terms of Metroid Prime 4, I feel that we've seen all there's been to see. This is just a continuation of the Metroid Prime series, so I'm expecting more of the same. I wouldn't be sad if it was more of the same. Like, it's been years since we had a Metroid Prime game, so any type of classic Metroid Prime game, as long as it's a new story, as long as they give you one or 2 new abilities, I'm gonna be more than well served. The game looks amazing. Like the fact that I hear Nintendo talking about performance mode and high fidelity mode is insane to me. Nintendo never cared about graphics. They never cared about the technology, processing power, 120 hertz refresh rate. Like they never cared about the technical stuff for their games. But seeing them make an actual effort at bringing their games to the next generation is very, very inspiring, and it's filling me with so much excitement, because that tells me that Nintendo, besides gameplay and besides actually making good games, they do care about evolving as a company. Like it'd be very easy for Nintendo to just continue reporting the same Wii U games, the same Switch games, bringing back GameCube games, GameCube ports, or doing remasters and whatnot. But the fact that they did a whole new Metroid Prime game and they focused heavily on the technical aspects of it gives me so much hope for Nintendo in the future. And I'm a huge Nintendo fan, but for the longest time I never saw them as innovators. I never saw them as avant-garde when it came to like technology and video game technology. I just saw them as they make nice games, they make fun games, and they add a gimmick here and there and a little feature here and there. But I never saw them as, yo, did you see this technology? Because Nintendo used to be like that. If we remember the SNES, when it had the accelerated chip for Star Fox, when we saw like 3D Mario, when we saw the Mario 64, Super Mario 64, that was innovation, like to its core. Like that was incredible. Breath of the Wild, you can argue that it also was innovating from Nintendo, but that was more so design. That wasn't necessarily like pushing the limits of the technology that they set forth. The Wii U, the Wii, the Switch, they weren't technological like achievements by any means. They just had nice little gimmicks here and there, and that was pretty much it. They were never at the forefront of technology. But now seeing that Nintendo is taking an actual effort and they're focusing on this sort of thing makes me believe that they will be up there with Sony. I think that they will really take over the market share that Sony's kind of been clawing back a little bit more, especially if they're able to port 3D, third-party titles like Elden Ring and Cyberpunk in a meaningful way. I think it's going to be tough for like the Steam Deck to really compete. PlayStation Portal will not compete. Like, yeah, that's not, I don't even consider that one a handheld console. It's a tablet. It's a glorified tablet, if I'm being completely honest. So yeah, if Nintendo's really like serious about keeping up with technology and like being at the forefront of this sort of stuff, regardless of what you might believe, regardless of you saying that gameplay is better, it's still, video games are still technology, and gamers are going to focus on that regardless of whether we like it or not. I'm more of a gameplay type of person. I'll always prefer a fun game over a good looking game. Like, there's a reason why I never played Star Citizen. There's a reason why I never played like top of the top video games from PlayStation, like regardless of how good they look, because to me, a great game is a game like Breath of the Wild, a game like Super Mario Odyssey, like those types of games, like games that are really well fleshed out and they keep you playing and they never feel like a slog. So yeah, hopefully this is like the nice medium and at least the series that will push Nintendo forward in that space, in the technological space, while still focusing on good, meaningful, and fun gameplay. Even then, like having the ability to switch between mouse mode and just regular Joy-Con mode is insane. Like the technology behind that is very, very interesting to me. It's seamless. What I've heard from people that played the game, you putting your Joy-Con on a flat surface and moving it, and then just picking it back up and playing, like a regular Joy-Con, is seamless. You don't have to activate that. It's not a mode you have to click in the menu screen. It's just, you can just choose on the go to play in mouse mode in this game, and then it just picks it up. Like he just did it right there in the presentation. It's insane to me. That's crazy technology, in my opinion. Just having the ability to do both is just incredible to me. It's just something that I just don't understand necessarily how they do it. But yeah, I'm really excited for a new story. I'm excited for the new methods of playing, specifically the mouse mode. I think that's going to help a lot with first-person shooter games. I hope that this also means that Nintendo's going to take seriously like third-party developers like, you know, Activision, you know, so they can bring Call of Duty games back into the Switch, the Nintendo platform. Like that was huge back in the Wii era. I remember how much people love playing Call of Duty on that, regardless of graphics. So it'll be fun. It'll be interesting, and I'm really looking forward to just new ways to enjoy games. Like that's just all I'm excited for. New games, new ways to enjoy the game without being like extremely gimmicky. Like this actually feels useful because there's people already play games with mouse mode. Like they already play games with mice and keyboard. Like that's something that people are used to. Like that's Nintendo just adapting to a new subset of fans that they're trying to like attract. So very excited for Metroid Prime 4. This game, Dragon Drive, it seems to me that it's Nintendo's response to ARMS. You know, for the Switch era, we had ARMS. You know, if you never played that game, basically just, you know, punch each other, you know, trying to take advantage of the Joy-Cons abilities and features and whatnot. This is the new ARMS of this generation. It's called Dragon Drive. It looks fun. It looks exciting. I just feel like it's a little bit too slow and it's kind of a little clunky in my opinion. I'm still gonna try it out because I love basketball first and foremost, of all kinds. It doesn't matter to me. And I'm also very interested to see how it actually plays, because I feel like this is that sort of stuff that you can't really show people just how fun it is. You have to actually play the game to get, you know, acquainted with the controls and actually have you know, people experience this. I don't think this necessarily should have been a standalone game. I think this would have been better if it was just added as DLC, like Nintendo Switch 2 DLC or a Nintendo Switch 2 edition of Nintendo Switch Sports. Like you already have a network there. You already have a player base there. Why not just add this to that? I know it's a full new mode, but you already have basketball in it. Like you're already using part of the technology of the Joy-Cons. Why not just add it in a Nintendo Switch 2 edition of Nintendo Switch Sports? Like I feel having to buy a whole new game just to play basketball, just to play this specific type of basketball, is not as enticing. I don't think this is going to do very well, in my opinion, as far as like sales wise. I'm still gonna check it out, but I just think that Nintendo could have brought more people to Nintendo Switch Sports. You know, that game was mildly successful in my opinion, not the best sports game from Nintendo, but still it was fun. And you already have the user base, you already have people grinding that game out. Why not just include this? Not make this a part of another sport that you can play in this game. Just having it as a standalone game, I just feel it's lacking in content. I don't think it's gonna be justifiable to pay $60-$70. Like God forbid this is $80. I just don't think it's worth it. So I feel they kind of like got too excited about this feature without thinking like, yo, let's wait, let's add this new feature to our old games. You know, games that barely came out 2-3 years ago. These are games that they can still get people to play on and upgrade their game. And like, I don't know, I feel they just probably like got a little bit too excited. I feel that they thought that this was gonna be like bigger than what it actually is. But it honestly just feels like a whatever game. Like, oh, a Rocket League for Nintendo Switch. Okay, so what? You know, that's just my opinion. I'm still gonna check it out though. Dragon Drive looks fun, takes advantage of the mouse mode for the new Joy-Cons. We'll see how it actually plays. A huge part of, or at least a huge new feature when it comes to um, the new Joy Cons now is Jamboree. I don't think. I mean, this is a huge addition to the, you know, the Mario Party Jamboree base game, but it just, I don't know. Like they made a bigger deal about it when in essence it's just adding mouse mode and it's adding the ability to use the webcam, the Nintendo Switch camera. And I'm like, that's okay, but does that really justify like making it a whole new pack and charging more for it? I just don't know. I don't know. It feels a little weird. It doesn't feel like very substantial in my opinion. And I'm just like, I don't understand. I don't feel like very excited about this. I don't think it's gonna do much to us. I don't think it's gonna, I don't know. I'm definitely not gonna upgrade this unless it's part of like the expansion pack, which you know some games are gonna get that free expansion pack. You know, a lot of these Nintendo Switch 2 editions are gonna be included in that expansion pack. But if it's included, I'll check it out. But I'm not very excited for this. Like it just seems, this actually seems gimmicky and it feels boring. And I just don't. I don't know. I feel like Nintendo, they should have just added mini games. They making it like a Jamboree TV, like adding the webcam sort of like deal. In my opinion, just feels like it's gonna be a one and done type of thing. I don't think it's gonna be like, oh wow, I can't wait to like continue playing this over and over and over again. Like, let's be honest, how many times are you actually gonna use the webcam? Like, are people really gonna be using game chat like Nintendo wants you to when everybody already uses Discord? I just don't know. I commend them for trying new things. Obviously, I want people to always try new things, specifically like game companies, because that's how you keep games fresh and fun. I just don't think it justifies the increase of price and just the way that, you know, focusing on it for like a whole segment of the treehouse. I don't know. Just feels not very substantial, to be honest. And a little gimmicky. I'm not going to lie. This is very gimmicky. This is technology that we've had since the Xbox 360. This is Kinect all over again. And I'm just like, I don't know. And half the time, every time I see it, it just doesn't look like it works very well. Like, I don't understand. I don't know. This to me is just very goofy, man. I don't know. I don't get it. I'm not a fan of it. Moving on. Now this is where I'm gonna end. I can speak about the other like Kirby in the Forgotten Land and the additions to that. But most, just like Mario Party Jamboree, it just feels like not very substantial. You know, Kirby, it just looks nicer. It looks very pretty. I'm not gonna lie. It's one of my favorite Kirby games. It's really fun and challenging. But it's just visual upgrades and some more content, but it just doesn't feel substantial enough for me to like be excited about. For this, I am excited about, and this is a little bit biased, mainly because I know how much talk Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom was when they first came out. People complained that it lacked fidelity. It wasn't very, like, especially in like the forest areas, the game would lag a lot. It would chug a little bit. The frame rates would really get destroyed. And for the longest time since Breath of the Wild released 2017, the community around Yuzu and around Switch emulators like really did flourish. And I feel like this is obviously Nintendo's response to that. And I'm very excited because it seems that this is definitely the way that the developers meant for the game to look. It's going to be very exciting to replay this game and actually be able to focus on, you know, the details of the world, adding the new being able to use the new abilities, like for example Zelda notes. That's incredible to me. I hated searching for Korok seeds. I hated trying to figure out where these shrines are half the time. It just became a tedious thing. The underworld, the caverns, I wasn't a big fan of it, but hopefully Zelda Notes, the Zelda Notes app adds to it a little bit more. But the seamless transition from the sky all the way to the underground level is incredible to me. It's just crazy to me just how much they've added, how much they've made this game play better. And again, this is my bias, okay? This is very much comparable to Kirby and the Forgotten Land, obviously. It's just a visual upgrade, performance upgrade. But even these little things like the app being able to like show you where to go and do things and try and find like shrines of light and whatnot, actually having a list of how much you've completed everything, it's gonna add so many depths and layers to the gameplay of Tears of the Kingdom specifically. Breath of the Wild, I'm just gonna replay it because I bet that the visual upgrade is gonna be enough for me to feel like it deserves a replay. And I'm just very excited, man, for this. It's just great. And it's also good news for all the people out there saying that Nintendo's just rehashing old games that have been out for like 3-4 years plus, Breath of the Wild being out 7 and charging $80. If you have a copy of Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom, you can upgrade to this Nintendo Switch 2 edition if you have a expansion pack subscription. It's already included in it. You don't have to buy the game again. You don't have to purchase an upgrade. It's already part of your subscription. Yes, I guess that means you're still paying for it, but what's the alternative? Buy the game again? I know it sucks. It sucks. This should have been a free upgrade, much like Sony does it with like some of the PlayStation edition. But even then, sometimes they charge you for the PS5 edition. So not all the games got free upgrades from the PS4 to the PS5 edition. Like people tend to forget that, and Nintendo's not gonna just give out their top selling games, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, for free. Just an upgrade, like, yeah, here you go. Like, it doesn't matter. You already paid $60 for it. Here you go. Visual upgrades, performance upgrade, everything looks better. These new features and whatnot for free. Like, it's just things cost money. Like, I'm sure it took a lot of time, research and development to make the Switch 2 work better. I know it's these are things that we don't take into consideration. We think that it's as simple as just porting something over to the Switch, but it's a whole new platform. It's a whole new framework that you got to put a game into, and it's just those little things add up. I'm not justifying it. I wish everything was cheaper and better, but like, I understand, man. Like, you need workers, you need developers, you need people to work on these things, and Nintendo, the people pricing these things, they need to make their money back. Like, they need to look how they can get some money for the work that they put into giving these upgraded versions of games. Doesn't matter how old they are, they still need to put work into it, and they still takes time and resources. But yeah, I'm very excited for both of these versions of the game. I've already beaten Breath of the Wild 4 times. I played Tears of the Kingdom. I'm on my second playthrough of it right now. And I'm probably going to add one more playthrough just on the Switch 2 because of just how good it looks. But yes, that is so far what we've seen from Nintendo Treehouse. My top two things that I'm most excited about is obviously Donkey Kong Bonanza and Mario Kart World. I'm not going to lie, I am very, very excited for Mario Kart World. I'm going to spend copious amounts of hours playing the Knockout Tour mode. I just am going to have loads of fun. That might even bring me back to streaming, if it means that I could get to play with friends and viewers. Maybe. But folks, you let me know down in the comments below, regardless of all the stuff, the tariffs, the delayed pre-orders, how expensive some of these games are. I want to know your opinion specifically about the actual games that we're going to be getting day one, and even like 1 to 2 months down the line from the release of the Nintendo Switch 2. What are your thoughts about Donkey Kong Bonanza, Mario Kart World, Metro Prime 4, Dragon Drive, the new versions of The Legend of Zelda, and even some of the other stuff that I didn't particularly care for, like Mario Party Jamboree TV and Kirby and the Forgotten Land Switch expansions. let me know down in the comments below what you thought about that. But folks, I've been True Fernie. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs down, because believe it or not, every single bit helps. Links to my socials are down below. Please make sure to follow me on Blue Sky, where I spend most of my waking hours talking about gaming, talking about anime, talking about sports, talking about the Switch, obviously, talking about anything and everything that might interest you as my viewer. But folks, please take care of one another, but most importantly, take care of yourself and your wallet. It's gonna be an expensive year, man. It's been an expensive life at this point from my existence. Ever since I've been an adult, it's been expensive. It sucks, man. Peace.